So this is just a very quick video and a very bad quality video on a few things about organization within ALS. I just wanted to share the way I've been doing things to add more to it and to merge new things into it. It's really a little bit of a follow-up to Brian Aldridge's video. He did a great video on how to merge weapon component, and I know he's done a few other videos on merging things to it and given a lot of support on the Discord as well. So I did what he did, but I've done things a little bit differently, and this is just another option that you might want to use. So people have mentioned about, yes, the weapon system for the guns, but also you might want a melee system, and people have mentioned about that as well, and to have those two things together. So I created another structure, no, another enum, not a structure, and that's just called weapon stance. So it's a bit like gate, really. You've got all those different enums and structs that really set up how the system works together. So it's pretty straightforward. Armed, unarmed, melee weapons. So armed is the guns, unarmed is just the plain ALS, and melee is the melee weapons that I've added to this. So that is towards the end of the chain, really. So the weapon system, or the weapon component that I did with the merge, I've done it a little bit differently, but it basically takes the different animations, pushes them into the weapon type, pistol, rifle, or shotgun. Then you've got an aim offset, you've got the left-hand attach, and it goes into the main poses into the weapon stance. So that's pretty straightforward, and Brian covered all of that. I've just done it a slightly different way. The melee weapon pose, though, is also similar. So again, I've got another variable here called melee weapon type. So we've got bare hands, sword, two-handed sword, a dagger, and a hammer. You could add as many as you wanted to this. Basically, when you select a weapon, the same way that you do in the guns, you would set the melee weapon type. So for each type, it will then give you a different idle animation for each of those. So that goes into, see, melee weapons are a little bit different because you're probably going to use montages that you trigger when you do an attack. So it's a little bit different to the guns. So we get a master melee pose that we're going to combine with the main state machine. Okay, so if all is normal, if we're standing still, let's say, we have our main state machine with the melee weapon idle added to that. So that's on spine 1. So the lower body, standard ALS, upper body, you're holding the weapon. And now that, then if we play an attack, we use this slot. So I created a new slot here. So I added a slot called melee slot. So for your melee animations or your melee animation montages, you want to select melee slot in there so it will play in the right place. So we've got melee slot going into the false here, and we've got an is moving bool. So is your character moving? So if it's standing still, it will do this, and when you do an attack, it will take over the full body and push that forward through everything. So it will show the feet will move, everything when you do an attack when you are standing. So when you are moving, it will actually play the melee slot just on the upper body. So here, because it's going into a blend, it will play on the upper body. Here, because it's after the blend, it will play as the full body. There's other ways to do this, and there's other slots that play it in a different way. So you've got a full body slot, but because there's a lot going on, it's good to have it here. And also, you still want, that's the main reason, because then you've got your aim offset. So when you do your sword attack, let's say, you might want to aim it up in the air or down at the ground. So if you use the full body slot, you can't do that because you don't have an aim offset following that. So you need to do your melee attack before you go into your aim offset. That way we can aim up or down. I think that makes sense. Okay, and that goes into here, as I said before, into your weapon stance. And that's the main parts really. Then we blend. I want to talk about first person as well, and I want to talk about swimming briefly. So we're going into a cache called loco cache. And where does that go? I've lost it. Okay, so this is where your other slots for your montages come in. So whatever you want to add to those slots will play in this area. Again, I've got a little system here to do with when those play. I don't know if I actually need this anymore, but again, it's to do with whether you're moving or not. Okay. Actually, you do need that. So you might want to do something while you have a gun. You might want to do something while you have a melee weapon. So whichever one you've got, it will still play following that, and it will ignore your aim offset. So it could be something like opening a door, something like that, or pressing a button. You'd want that in this area because you don't want the aim offset for something like that. Okay, first person. So we have got our current weapon type. I want to start further over here actually before this. Right, so we've got our ALS view mode. We've got third person and first person. So we can switch between those. I'm not going to go into all the details about how to set up first person. There's a lot of issues with doing the rotation, so you need to make those changes first. This is just about organizing it. So we have our current weapon types. So we have pistol, rifle, shotgun, but this is actually for the first person view. This is set up a little bit differently. We've still got the aim offset, but I'm actually doing it from spine 1. And we are using a layered blend, the same as the other method really, to blend it with the normal the standard state machines. Okay, the only difference we've got here, I changed or edited the animations, so you might want to use different animations completely, but I edited them so the gun is held in the camera, up to the camera. But for oh god, I've not explained this well. Let me start that again. I'm not going to edit this, by the way. It's a bit messy. So we've got our standard view that I edited. So I moved the gun into a better position to do with a first person camera. So I just duplicated and then move the position of the bones and set keys and saved. We have aiming. So when we aim, not only do we want to go to the gun camera, we want to bring it to the center of the screen as if you are moving it. So your arms will move to put it in front of your eye, let's say. But then as we do that, the system will also make it switch to the gun camera. So we want to keep the gun a little more still when we do that. So this is just a combination of the standard, so the second animation I created for FPS, where it's just holding it in the center of the screen. But we don't want it to hold perfectly still, but we don't want it to be shaking around too much. So what I did is just put the same animation in twice, blended them together. One is playing at 0, one is playing at 0.5. So that way it will move around, so it won't stay completely still, but it will stick to a closer area than it would do if you just used the full animation playing. So this one is completely still. This one moves around, and we blend them. We blend them at a 0.2 to keep things kind of central, but still moving around. Okay, so it's a little bit of sway. Okay, the pistol works in exactly the same way. And then we've got the current weapon type. Again, the same way we do in third-person mode. This is something for later. So we go into that view mode. Okay, another little thing I added. When you fire, rotate the index finger -20. So the finger moves to make it look like he's pulling the trigger. Smart, eh? Okay, the other thing is about swimming. The way I've added it is to create another movement mode. So we have our default mode for moving or grounded, but I've added swimming to that, and there's a lot more work to do with this. It's not as simple as just putting this in. Again, you've got issues to figure out with rotation. I'd still add the aim offset for here so you can look around with your head, but it will mainly use a different state machine. So it's pretty simple, really. I've got an idle where the guy is treading water. Oh, I think that's a little different, actually, yeah. So he's treading water, swimming backwards, swimming forwards, and going right, going left. So it's just pretty basic for that one. And I think he goes into like a sprint. So this one's a little more, so we've got our back and our left and right, but as we get faster, and then we go into this sprint mode. So my swimming animations aren't really the best. Yeah, and if you went left or right, there's a bit of a variation. But yeah, it's just pretty simple. So this is the one for when you're moving, and you would go into like a swimming sprint, let's say. So you'd still press shift to get this speed, and this animation would occur. Okay, so I think that explains how that is set up. That's the old one. Okay, and then you've got the standard things like your deaths. So let me demonstrate, hopefully, although I'm on the wrong map to show the swimming. So, oh my god, this is running so badly. Okay, here we go. So let's start with the guns. So as you can see, this is working normally. I think it's running pretty slowly because I've got everything running at the same time. So, you know, everything works. If we do our aim mode, he will turn. So let's pull out the gun. So you can see that the turning is increased. And when we run, he holds the gun. Everything like that. So this is a bit of an issue. If I turn, just this little hop. So I need to figure that out. But yeah, that's the thing with the putting the gun away is to do with the montages. So let's holster the gun. So you can see his feet move to do those animations. So that needs a little bit of improvement. But if he's running, he will still play the montage, but he doesn't do it for the full body. So with our AK, we have our aim mode. So we've got hip and our aim. So let's switch to first person mode. That's the wrong button. Okay, so you can see that the animation has changed. The only thing with this is we need it to be a little more jumpy when you walk around. It's a little bit unnatural. But you can see he turns around and, you know, it's really jerky because of the frame rate. But yeah, his feet move. You see that? Okay. We've still got the same functions. Well, that throws us back into third person, but so we can use it in first person. Pull out a gun, holster the gun. Everything works fine, and the aiming down the sight. So if we press the aim button, you see it triggers the animation or switches the animation to the one in front of the face, and we switch to the other camera. So there's no kickback at the moment, but yeah, now you can kind of see the trigger. Hold. That does not look right. Okay, it does look right. So he pulls the trigger. Okay, so that is all fine. You can crouch and everything like that. It's not finished either, so I need to do a few tweaks and also the reloading. So let's talk about the melee weapons. So again, similar kind of thing where he will turn, you can run around with the weapon. If I pull out the knife, same kind of thing. So let's talk about the attacks. So we get out the baseball bat. So we have a standard attack, and I put a heavy attack in. So if we look at the standard attack, if we look at the feet, it kind of shuffles forward. But if we're running, he just hits. So that's how to do it with the montage, but to split the body. So the reason for having that, is this still recording? For having that montage slot is this exact reason. It's the same for the heavy attack. You see how his feet move and forward. Okay, and we can trash these guys. Oh, and we can hit upwards, we can hit downwards. That's because our aim offset is before the montage. Our aim offset is after the montage. Yeah. And I think that's all I want to show you. Really. There's still quite a few problems with this, but he's doing okay. I can't show you the swimming because there's no water in this map. But I had my slide function as well, which is just a different type of movement mode, I think. But yeah, goodbye.